The Uncharted Territories is a podcast about seeing the unseen in the world of matter. Join me, Shara Prophet, the mind magic coach, and my partner, astrologer Scott Tejerian, as we take an esoteric look this season into the life, death, and afterlife of a variety of celebrities and public figures who lost their lives prematurely or unexpectedly.
All right, welcome back to the Uncharted Territories, Princess Margaret, Part 3. I'm Scott Tejerian, here with Shara Prophet. How are you, Shara?
I'm good, Scott. How are you today?
Doing well, doing well.
Good.
So, where do we begin? Part 3.
Well, okay. So, I tried to get into the other part with Princess Margaret, but
yes. What other part are we talking about here?
I'm talking about her relationships, romantic partnerships, her marriage specifically. And as I was doing that, her sister came through because we know she just
rest in peace,
passed over.
Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I really didn't want to talk to her because I was trying to talk to Margaret.
You didn't want to give the Queen an audience?
No, it's not her time.
Okay. That's for another episode?
That's for another episode. But, and I just think it's too soon to I don't like to talk to them too soon when they just passed over.
Why is
you
that?
know? Well, because I want to give them time to get settled and do whatever they need to do on the other side. It's just like moving. If you move into a new place, right?
Yeah.
Unless people are there to help you unpack, you don't really want to have a bunch of guests over and things like that. You just need time to like settle down.
Well, it sounded like she wanted you to come over.
Well, yeah, she wanted to come. Well, she wanted to come over.
And I imagine the Queen probably has a whole team on the other side that's helping her adjust to
her new way of living. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure she was already prepared. When she went over. So
that's my imagination.
Yeah,
is it like
probably
she's been preparing to die and readying herself energetically, and as soon as she crosses over, there's all these other people that have been there before her. Yeah, maybe her sister's one of them. Well, yeah, they were very excited about being together. So that when she came in, it was like, you know how if you ever given like a double high five to somebody, it was like that. And then they like interlocked their fingers. So it was just like, yay, that kind of, you're here, you know. It's a reunion.
Yeah, it was that kind of, that was the energy that I was seeing between them. So I was like, okay, you're all right, that's fine, you know. But she came in and she had some things to say. And basically, in short, I don't want to stay too long on this because I really do want to give Margaret her time. But Margaret was okay with her sister coming in and she was like, no, she has something to say. So I'm like, okay. But basically, she wanted to say that people have the wrong idea about her, about who she was, as far as, you know, some people loved her, some people hated her, as with most.
We're talking about the Queen here.
We're talking about the Queen.
Yeah.
As with most public figures, you know, you either love them or you hate them, right? But for her, she was saying that people have the wrong idea about me and who I was at the core of my being. As far as throughout history, there's a lot of things that she had to carry over from past of everything that the crown stood for. Like she had to carry those ideas over, play out certain duties. Yeah.
It's like beyond her choice.
Basically, that's what she's saying. Like a lot of the stuff she didn't agree with, she didn't want to do those things. However, I mean, it's just, she gave the example of, it's just like when with your presidents, they don't really, they may not agree with things, right? But because certain protocols have been set in place, this is the way we do things. You can't deviate from it. It doesn't matter what your personal feeling is about this. This is how it's done, kind of a thing.
Exactly.
Because even the ones who we think are the head, they have someone above them. So basically, that's what she was saying, that, you know, a lot of the things that we blamed her for or made her responsible for, those things were already set in place. And
yeah, well, so you're saying the queen has a boss? Had someone, or is she answering to the structure of the system?
The structure of the system.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's the structure, which is over
her head.
Over her head.
Yeah.
Regardless of what she felt about certain things.
She is the person who is at the head of the structure of the system, but she doesn't have any control over restructuring the system.
No.
Because the system has been put in place.
It's in place.
To always be the way that it is.
Yes, absolutely. And she also says that doesn't mean, it doesn't excuse anything. She's not looking for excuses. Mm-hmm. However, what she's saying is even the things that I could have changed, mm-hmm. she didn't feel confident enough to step all the way into it and make mm-hmm. the changes without ruffling feathers. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of I don't want to fight that battle kind of a thing. So that's basically what the message was, mm-hmm. is to let, I guess, people know that at the core of her, there were things that didn't sit well with her. However, mm-hmm. because we're talking about thousands of years of
exactly
of things being put in place. So that was the main thing that she wanted to say. But they were acting like little girls with each other, mm-hmm. Like they were really excited mm-hmm. to be the impression of them, mm-hmm. The impression of who they were on this planet. Yeah. Because when I'm calling them in, I'm calling the impression in, right? There are different versions of us, period. Mm-hmm. It's different versions of us. There are other versions of us living in other dimensions and parallel universes. Mm-hmm. So when I'm speaking to these spirits, I'm talking to them in the form in which they were here, mm-hmm. okay? Mm-hmm. So that's an impression of them. Yes. They usually tend to come in younger than what they were when they passed over, or in a space where they were the happiest.
In their prime.
In their prime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So mm-hmm. they came in, both of them were like in their mid-20s, like late 20s.
Is strongest when their spirit is strongest.
Yeah, exactly. So they both show up like in their late 20s mm-hmm. to like early 30s. That's what I'm seeing them as. Yeah. And just really vibrant and excited to be with each other during that time. So it was interesting to hear that message. So that's the message from the Queen for anybody who cares. That's the message from her.
I care.
Yeah.
I want to know. I mean, I don't want to go too far on this tangent, but I just want to address, a couple things about this. Like, what are your thoughts for these people out there that say that, like the Queen or the royal family, like they're like these lizard people, or like, did she just like unzip her queen outfit and now zipped on another person or something? I mean, I don't like, what is that?
You know what? I don't delve too deep into that because it doesn't feel relevant to me. My thing is this. There are other forces. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. There are forces that are not human that are here on this planet that are, interdimensional beings and things like that. They do exist. Not brushing that off. Was she a reptile? I don't know. I don't know. I've never delve deeply into that. As far as I know, from what I'm picking up, one, she's human.
Yes.
And anybody who has more evidence that she is other than that, then hey, please produce that. Please show evidence if anybody is interested in that. But I just feel like she's a human being that wore a very, very heavy crown. Okay. And was put in a position that she wasn't necessarily wanting to be in.
Right.
And she had to learn how to navigate through that. And she made the choices that she felt were best at the time. And I even asked about Meghan Markle because that has been a big issue for a lot of people. And, and basically, I said, did you have a problem with her because she was of African-American descent? And she said, I had a problem with her because she wasn't of royal blood. So she admits that there was no acceptance there. It was because she wasn't of royal blood. And I guess she just had issues with her upbringing, and it's like, I don't care about the skin color, but you're not of our stature. Yeah. I mean, that's just period. Well, that's just what it is.
And unfortunately, I guess, like, the skin color is not a part of their club.
It's not.
You know, like when we...
I mean, if you want to dig a little bit deep into it, it is, but it isn't. You know what I mean? Well, I'm saying they won't admit that.
Present day, you know, it's like when I think of, like, when we were talking about Diana on those episodes, and you look back at all the different women that Charles was courting, let's say, or they were courting him or whatever, but you can tell they're all from the same club.
Yes.
Like you read these books about Diana or Margaret and the different people that you know, Charles was courting, let's say. These women are all of that status.
Yes.
This person's the daughter of the baron of this or the duke of that or whatever. It's a small group. And
Incestuous.
And Meghan Markle comes from normal people.
Yeah.
You know, like, she grew up in LA and she...
In my neighborhood, actually.
Yeah. You know, I mean, this place where she went to school is really close to where we are right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, she was successful as an actor and got her fame that way. And then, but she doesn't have that. She's not a part of that club.
She's a commoner. And that was her issue with her.
Commoner.
Yeah, and she was treated as such.
Wow.
And because she's Black, we made that the issue. But Princess Diana was not treated well either.
Well,
she was of royal blood. She was of royal blood, but she wasn't. So basically, if you don't fit in, if you're not willing to bend, if you're not willing to conform.
Exactly. Diana was of royal blood, but she didn't follow along with the program.
Exactly. That's it. So that's all it comes down to.
And that creates a lot of, because it's like the Queen was saying to you, people don't know me. I had to do things that I didn't want to do. So the Queen's like, I followed along with the program. If you're not going to follow along with the program, then we're going to have a problem. Because if I'm following along with the program and going against certain things that I believe or feel or whatever, then you better be following along with the program, because you're not more special than me. I'm the Queen.
That's exactly what it is.
If I'm doing it, you got to do it.
That's what it comes down to. And even Princess Margaret, she said that about Diana as well. Like, listen, I had to do things I didn't want to do. I couldn't even marry the man I loved.
Exactly.
And I was willing to let that go.
Well, and I guess that goes back to Harry and Meghan. You know, he chose somebody outside the circle. And so now he's kind of left outside the circle.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she wanted to just make that clear. I asked specifically about the Meghan Markle situation because I am Black.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, listen, if you got a problem with Black folk, you really don't need to be talking to me, ma'am. I don't care if you're the Queen of England or not. You know what I'm saying? That's how I carry things.
So she's like, I don't have a problem with you because you're Black. I have a problem with you because you're a commoner.
You're a commoner.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
That's better. I get that. You know what I mean? Okay, I get it. I'm not a part of the club. Cool. Yeah. That's fine.
Wow. It's such a low sounding word, commoner.
It is low sounding.
Commoner. You're just common. You're like, you know, the blades of grass in the field. It's like, you're not special.
Yeah.
You're common. Wow.
Yeah.
I feel really small right now.
You are not common, sir.
I know. Thank you.
No, you
Shara.
are not.
Neither are you.
I know. We are not common.
Yes.
You know, but I just wanted to, I guess I didn't want to. She wanted to bring this up. So I just wanted to share the message.
Yeah, makes sense.
People can take that however they want to take it. Sometimes things are not as they seem. Not saying that she may not have some sort of issues with people of color, but I mean, I would think that someone who has to be around all kinds of people would learn how to I guess, accept people as they are.
I think she accepts people
if they're in
the right place.
Absolutely. If they're in the right place. Yes. Well, that's what I mean as far as like color is concerned, like race and skin color. Right. Like, because there are darker colored kings and queens and princes and princesses that she does fraternize with, or you know what I mean?
So
and that's not an issue.
Exactly.
It's a status thing.
Yeah.
And I think more people need to realize, even in today's world, it's about status.
That's it.
It's about, you could be whatever.
Yes.
Can you afford to be in this circle?
Exactly.
Can you buy into this? Can you invest?
Yes.
That's what it's about, haves and have-nots.
Yes.
So people get with it, stop worrying about...
Well, I'm sure the Queen didn't have a problem with Obama.
Exactly.
You know, because he's of status.
Exactly.
So, but it's like you said, like it's almost like the people of status want the commoners to believe that, yeah, you shouldn't like that person because of their skin tone, because it just keeps the commoners common.
Yes, exactly.
It keeps them common. It keeps them small-minded.
Yes.
It keeps them pointing fingers at each other, as opposed to the people that are actually ruling them, like the Queen. And a lot of people think the Queen was just a figurehead. I mean, I think that's very naive. I think she had way more power than anyone even can comprehend.
Absolutely. Way more.
Yeah. You don't keep somebody in that position just because it feels good to have a queen, and like, that's how it's always been. No, she's got a serious role. And so
absolutely. So not saying that race issues don't exist, because they do, but they usually exist amongst commoners.
Yes. And I think that's by design.
That is by design.
Right?
Because if I'm concerned about you hating me because of my skin tone, I'm going to probably use that to keep me from excelling forward and doing certain things and moving into certain groups and, going outside of my comfort zone. I'm probably just going to stay where I'm more comfortable and I feel like I'm more accepted, instead of saying, you know what, I might be the only person of color, or the only man, or the only woman, or the only, Caucasian person over here. But I'm going to go because there's something over here I need. I need that education. I need that knowledge. I need to get in with these people. I need that network. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So if you stay locked into that space, there's no danger of you rising up. There's no danger of you getting that knowledge and that wisdom that could take you further than you ever thought you could. So,
and that's what keeps you common.
That's what keeps you common.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So it's always a nice message that comes through with these energies. So I appreciate that.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that, Shara.
Well, thank you, Queen, for coming through, because I definitely was like, I don't feel like talking to you today.
I'm glad you talked to her. I
did talk to her. Yes. I had to. I mean, she wasn't going to leave, that's for sure, because she was not going anywhere.
She needed to be heard.
And I was like, I guess I need to
I got to talk to you at least for a minute.
Yeah.
I got something to say.
Yes.
And when the Queen wants to say something, you better listen.
You got to listen. So I'm happy I did, because that was a great message.
Awesome.
All righty. Are we ready to jump into...
let's get back to Margaret.
Margaret?
Yeah, we'll talk about the Queen maybe another time more.
Yeah, we'll have time for that.
See. Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about Margaret.
Okay.
Her love life. Her romance.
Here we go. All right. So, I asked Princess Margaret to tell me about her love life. Okay. And, of course, we know that she was married to Tony. Okay.
I'm on the edge of my seat right now.
The photographer.
Shara. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. When I asked her, was she in love with him? She says, I'm not sure, but we were really good friends. We had a lot of fun with each other. Even though it was tumultuous, even though there was issues in the marriage, right? But they had a lot of fun with each other. Now, she was in love with someone else. but she could not be with him.
And that was the person before.
That was Peter. Is that his name, Peter?
Peter Townsend.
Okay.
Yes.
Peter Townsend.
Group captain, Peter Townsend.
Yes.
That was like her first, like, whew, I got to be with this. But he was a divorcee, or he was married.
He was married. He got divorced. Yeah. Yeah. And so under the Marriage Act, she couldn't. Mm-hmm. This was like from 1777. That act was from that. But she couldn't. And she really wanted to. She was very much so in love with this man.
And he wasn't royal either.
He was not royal.
No. He was the son of a doctor. Yeah, they were common people. I mean, he was extraordinary in terms of how he rose up in serving the royal family. Mm-hmm. But he was a servant of the family, essentially.
Right. Yep, absolutely. And I think they sent him away, or he went away, or something like that.
Yeah, they sent him away.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
So the queen was trying to work it out. Mm-hmm. She wanted her sister to be happy, obviously. But of course, again, it goes back to these systems that are in place, right? Yes, I have power. I can shift things. Let me try to shift it if I can. But we got to wait.
Yes.
So that wait a while.
Yes. Well, and the thing is if she does shift it, then potentially it lessens her status of power. Because if the crown is seen as doing things for their own desire, and not for the betterment of the crown, if the queen is doing something, well, I got to do this for my sister because it's my sister.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't benefit the crown and the structure. It doesn't work within that structure. Then it weakens the structure. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, because when I say this, I'm saying this term, but just for the lack of another terminology, to keep the bloodline pure, to keep the sanctity of what the crown means, the duty of the crown, that's the thing, so that became the issue, and it took a longer time. I think it took like 5 years or something like that before any kind of movement was made or whatever. Any changes were, I don't even know if there was a change or whatever. I just know that she
was waiting around for this decision to happen, however long the waiting around, however long that lasted. I think it was a couple of years. But I just want to say a couple things astrologically about like these two people, Peter Townsend and Princess Margaret. They have a lot of karmic energy between them. His sun, his ascendant, his Mars and Venus. So his vitality, the battery that's powering his human ship. The ascendant, which is the essence of his soul, his face, his body, his personality. Mars, the planet of attraction. And Venus, the planet of love. We're all in Margaret's 8th house, which is the house of death. That's the house of past life connections, karmic bonds. Mars is the planetary ruler of the 8th house, and Peter's Mars was in there. So I think this is what really drew them together so strongly. They also have a nice rapport between his sun is in very positive alignment with her moon. So she was emotionally compatible for him, which I imagine that she could really open up to him about things. And that's what made them so close to each other. And then her Mars actually landed in his 7th house, the house of marriage. So her planet of attraction was in his house of marriage. This is, again, a point of attraction. Her Pluto, which is the other planetary ruler of the 8th house, was in his 8th house. Her moon, the planet of emotions, and Jupiter, the planet of expansion. So between the two of them, they had 7 different planets or key points in each other's 8th house, which is the house that rules sex and connecting on a deep level, soul level.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So they almost didn't have a choice but to be tied to each other in that way.
Doing karmic work with each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then I believe he got engaged to someone else or was getting ready to marry somebody else. And this was around the time her and Tony started hanging out. But she said that she wasn't even sure that that Tony liked her because she thought that he was, in her words, queer. She thought that he liked men.
Yeah. Well, he did.
Yes. Yes, he did. She picked up on that.
And women. So yeah, she
picked up on that.
Yeah.
Yes. So so she didn't really pursue anything with him, but they were having fun together. Like she just enjoyed his company. They, were really good friends. And then she said when he asked her to marry him, that was right around the time that she found out that Peter was going to move on.
So yeah, Peter in 1959, he was 45 and he married a 20-year-old Belgian national.
Okay.
He had met the previous year, but apparently it was in 1955, the end of 1955, that Princess Margaret issued a statement ending the relationship. So she married Tony in 1960.
Okay.
Right after Peter married. So it was like, even though she said that she was ending the relationship in 1955, maybe there was a part of her that was just still holding a candle that somehow, some way they would end up together. But then when he married off, she's like, okay, well then I guess I'm going to get married too, because that's that. I'm not going to be with him now.
Yeah.
And so...
Well, she says when Tony asked her to marry him, her response was, okay, why not? Like, sure.
Why not? That's fine. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. So that's what she's saying. She's not sure if she was in love with him. She's like, I don't think I was. And she says she honestly isn't really sure that she knows what being in love is like, really. And she knows that he made her feel good. He was exciting. And he was what she needed in her life at that time. She said, I didn't feel like there was anyone else who was as exciting as me. So when Tony and I began hanging out, it was fun. It was like hanging out with the male version of me.
Interesting. It's like, so the three planets of Margaret's that landed in Group Captain Peter Townsend's 8th house, the moon, the emotions, Pluto, transformation, and Jupiter, the planet of expansion, those three landed in Peter Townsend's 8th house, that house of death, karmic bonds. In Tony's chart, they landed in the 5th house, which is the house of children, which is fun, play, games, dating, love life. It's the Leo frequency. The 8th house is the Scorpio frequency. It's very intense. The Leo frequency is like, hey, we're having fun. We're dancing in the sun and enjoying life and being playful and that sort of stuff.
Okay. So that makes a lot of sense. All right.
It is kind of an odd match, though, between the two of them, because he's a Pisces. And Pisces and Leo, just as a general rule, those two signs. So I see a lot of people. I see a lot of couples that are Pisces and Leo. It's kind of perplexing to me. I feel like it often doesn't work because it's the fish and the lion.
Yeah,
it's a weird match.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean it can't work, but one's mutable water, Pisces, and Leo is fixed fire. So they don't share a modality. One's mutable, one's fixed. And fire boils water, water extinguishes fire. But he had a lot of planets: Mars, attraction; Mercury, the mind; the sun, vitality; and Venus, love; and his ascendant, the essence of his soul, were all in Margaret's 12th house, which is the house of the unconscious. So there was something about him that naturally understood her, could see what was going on beneath the surface with her. This is where you keep your soulmates, as well as the 8th house, where both of their planets were landing in that house. But this is another house that represents soulmates because you can see what's going on with the person, but it can also be unknown enemies because they know how to push your buttons. They can see beneath the surface.
Well, he definitely did that. That's for sure. He definitely pushed her buttons. And she says when they did start hanging, because they hung out for a while before they, came together, she really wasn't interested in pursuing anything. She was still trying to get over Peter and that whole thing. That was very, very crushing for her, And so she says that when she did finally agree to be with Tony and agree to be married to him, she didn't have a lot of expectation out of it because
her heart had been broken.
Her heart had been broken, and she'd already seen, like, around her all of the models of the marriages that have failed and the relationships that have failed and all of the indiscretions and the infidelities and the secrets and, so she didn't have like high expectations. And that's exactly what he, I'm not going to say he brought that in, but that's what came of their time together.
So they met the relationship met her expectations, which were low.
Very low.
Yeah.
And yes, he had secret children. He had all of these different lovers, men and women. And she did her thing too. She did her thing too, and they were partying like crazy.
Yeah.
They even with the children they were partying. So
with the children they were partying. What's that?
No,
mean?
Not with the children, but even
when
after being parents, when they were still partying.
Yeah. It's not like, oh, we're parents now. No. Now we're responsible. It's like, I got people to take care of these people. These little kids. I'm going out.
We're going to the party. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Exactly.
But she does say that even though she didn't have high expectations, there was this part of her that wanted that true love that she said, I wanted somebody who wanted only me. I did want that. I wanted that. But there was a part of her that didn't believe that she could ever have that.
Yeah.
So she like a lot of people, just settled for what it was,
So funny. So funny to think that way that here you are, a royal, the princess, and she settled. Because just like other people settled.
They all did, in my opinion.
Like people in general.
Yeah.
Or all of them.
I feel like the ones that we've been talking about.
Yeah, the ones that we've talked about. Yeah.
They all settled.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Which is just wild to think. Like when you think of settling, you settle because there's no better options.
Yeah.
But like in the commoner fantasy, it's like you're the queen, you're the princess, you're the king. You have all the options. You're the last person on earth that would ever need to settle. But no, they're still human and they have their own issues just like everyone else. Doesn't matter how much money you have.
That's right.
There's still problems and you still settle.
Yeah.
Not
still
everyone,
settle.
but
not everybody.
But every status can settle.
I mean, eventually Prince Charles, he ended up with the woman that he loved
totally
and wanted to be with.
Yeah.
So eventually, he got what he wanted, and they're together now. They're happy.
Yeah.
But they didn't come together without a whole bunch of.
It wasn't easy.
Mess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those two sons are not hers.
Right.
They're Diana's.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Wow.
Like, I mean, and if you were to take the royalty out of it, it would look like a Maury Povich show. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
You're right. Well, and I think that's part of the fascination that people have with the royal family is it's not so squeaky clean and perfect. It is kind of a mess.
Yeah.
And that's why they're able to maintain their status on the front of the the tabloids or TMZ or whatever it is. It's always commentary because you're recognizing that, wow, those people's lives are is messy or messier than mine.
Yeah, definitely messier than mine.
It's like a train wreck.
It's titillating.
It's titillating. Yes.
I like that word. Titillating. Yes. So yeah, she definitely desired more. You know, she wanted monogamy and fidelity and all of that. But when your model is not that, it's like, oh, that's a dream. That doesn't exist. That's not real.
Yeah, I mean, I look at her chart and I hear what you're saying, and you know, she's a Leo, and Leo wants that stability. They want that someone that they can count on. At the same time, her Mars is in Gemini, the planet of attraction, and the sign symbolized by the twins. Like, which twin do I choose? This one or that one? I want them both. That's the fantasy, the twins, you know? And so she has that going with her. And then Venus, the planet of love, is in Libra, which is cardinal. It's not fixed, but there is a real need to be around beauty. Wants to be around beautiful people, wants to be with beautiful people, wants to feel beautiful in relationship. And that's where her 7th house line as well, which is the house of marriage, it's also in Libra. So she's going to desire that wherever she's going to get it. At the same time, her 8th house, that karmic bonds, that is in Scorpio, which is fixed like Leo. So this is kind of the confusion that she has within her, where she's like, I want that stability. I want that passion and connection with a single person. But I'm also kind of curious about that person over there. Yeah. Because they're really beautiful. And I wonder what that would be like. But I also want this commitment over here. So. Yeah.
And she attracted that.
And that's what she got in her relationship.
Yeah, that's what she got.
That's what she got in her relationship. You know, Tony's a Gemini moon. So emotionally, he's fulfilled by trying all the flavors in the ice cream shop.
Clearly. Yeah. All the flavors.
Well, do tell, Shara. Like, what?
Well, I mean, no. I'm just saying, like, this is known.
Yeah.
This is public information. Totally, you know that he liked all the flavors.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere in one of the books or somewhere online where there was something where she was trying to get back at him for cheating on her or something like that, and she's like, well, I slept with so and so, and he's like, so did I.
Oh my God. I think I probably would have just like stabbed him at that point. Yeah. So
well, you got a lot of the fixed energy.
Yeah.
In your you're the Leo Mars and Venus. So your love and attraction are wanting that stability. And then, of course, the Taurus.
Yes.
Your sun is like, that's the bull.
Yeah, we don't play.
No.
We don't play around like that.
You'll fight somebody.
I will. Yeah. So that's why the universe has been good and not brought that kind of craziness into my life.
Yes.
Because I don't know if I would be sitting here right now.
Right.
So, you know, I'm better now. I don't go crazy anymore. But anyways. But yeah, so she wanted the typical thing, right? But again, as you're describing the way her chart is and her planets are laid out, it is this like, sometimes I want it and sometimes I want this too. I want that and that, you know? So she attracted
somebody who is that.
Someone who is that. And this is what I try to tell people. I'm like, you got to get to the core of your true desire. Like, really decide what part of you is the dominant part. Like, is it the stability part? Is that more dominant? Or is the adventurous kind of, I don't want to be tied down, is that the more dominant part? And then align with the dominant part, align with it and understand when the non-dominant part creeps in. Why is it there? Like, what is it? Is it coming out of fear? Is it coming out of curiosity? And try to ask questions about it. Try to get to the root of why I sometimes want this and I sometimes want that. There's nothing wrong with either one. But what's going to happen is if you go against the dominant core desire and the other part isn't dealt with, you attract something that's going to trigger the part that's not being dealt with. Does that make sense?
So let's put it in the context of Margaret.
Okay.
Which side of her is dominant?
I think from what I'm gathering from her, I feel like wanting the stability was more dominant. However, because of her behavior models, right? The dysfunction in the family, right? The other part, the wandering part, that part played out more as the dominant part of her. It played out in the physical world as the dominant. However, the desire was more, I want more peace, but I don't think I can get it. Does that make sense?
It does. I just have a question. I do want to talk about that more, and I want to go down that road. But before we do, I want to go back to something that you said. You talked about her models. So her father and mother, do you feel like there was infidelity there, or there was that wasn't a stable relationship, her growing up?
I didn't dig deeply into that, so I'm not sure. I'm just thinking about it might even be beyond her parents. You know what I mean? Because the thing is that we carry things through our ancestors.
Right. So it could be just a trait that was passed down to her. But here's another sort of hypothesis. Let me know what you think about this. What if, like you said, the dominant side of her is wanting that stability, wanting to be with the one. And she found the one, and they took the one away from her, at which point the part that she had maybe been suppressing took over and became the more dominant one, the wanting to play around and try all the flavors. And that's how she ended up in this situation. I mean, maybe it had to do with like the models and that sort of stuff, but maybe the model for her with Peter Townsend was seeing her uncle and his longing, wasn't able to had to choose between the queen or being the king and Wallace Simpson. So that was maybe her example. It's something that's been sort of passed down. Charles, we talked about him. Of course, Harry, him too. So if the dominant side was to be committed, is this what you're talking about then, when the other side is not dealt with and then it comes out and kind of rules who you are and the life kind of spirals into chaos?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the same thing. It's basically what each of our subjects deal with. The chaos that ends up bulldozing their entire lives, right? The parts of them that they really craved and really desired and wanted to have and wanted to participate in somehow got shut down or suppressed in some kind of way. And so the other part, that's
the less dominant
part, comes in and is like, well, okay, I can't have what I really want, so let me just go over here and be over here. And that just turns into chaos, right? And it wears on the body, it wears on the mind, on the heart, the soul, the relationships, everything. So yeah, absolutely. I think that was the turning point for her. Like, okay, can't have the crown and I can't have my man, so fuck it.
Yeah.
Kind of a whatever thing, and that energy you attract.
And that's what she got.
That like energy, and that's what she got.
Wow.
Yeah.
And she said she wasn't sure if she ever loved him. And it might be because the frequency that she was putting out there was not what she loved about herself.
Yeah. Bingo.
Wow.
That part.
So
that part.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So I want to leave it here.
Okay.
And then we're going to come back.
Yes.
And keep talking about Margaret because
so much more to talk about.
Margaret, like you are really opening our minds and our hearts, and it's really amazing. So yeah. Okay. It's so powerful though.
It is powerful.
This is something that we can all take for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And this is what I talk about when we're talking about astrology and love is what is the frequency that you're putting out there.
That's right.
And the frequency that she was putting out there was not a frequency that she loved about herself.
That's right.
And that's what she attracted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty much the way it goes.
Yeah.
Align with your core desire. What do you want?
Yeah.
I hear people say, oh, I'm just going to have an open relationship. And I'm like, is that what you really want? Or is that what you think you can get?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
What's your core desire?
Yes.
Align with that.
And that is so huge in talking about Margaret's North Node, which is in Aries in the first house, which is associated with the first sign, which is Aries, which is about being authentic. Mm-hmm. And if she wasn't being authentic in saying what she truly wanted and only said what she wanted based on what, like you were saying, she thought she could get, then she wasn't in that frequency.
Yeah. She was being
authentic.
She was being a realist.
Yeah. Okay, Shara.
All right.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Such a fun conversation. Thank you, Margaret, for your wisdom. And we'll see you back for another Princess Margaret episode of the Uncharted.
Thank you, Queen Elizabeth.
And thank you, Queen Elizabeth, for dropping in and harassing Shara and saying, no, you're not walking away from the Queen.
That's right.
I got some things to say to you.
That's right. Well, from one queen to another, I respected that.
Exactly.
So, yes.
Yes. I love it. Awesome, Shara. All right, we'll see you next time. You've been listening to The Uncharted Territories, where we see the unseen in the world of matter. If you would like to support the podcast, subscribe.
We've talked a lot about the subconscious mind and the importance of healing our wounds from the past. As an energy healer and a certified hypnotherapist, I help people understand how the mind works so they can harness the energy of the subconscious and tap into their inner power and make those positive long-term changes in their lives. If you're ready to make that change, you can book a session with me by connecting at opendoorhypnosis.com. I look forward to working with you.
If you'd like to learn more about who you are, where you come from, why you're here, and what you're meant to do with your life, contact me, Scott Tejerian, at theweeklytransit.com, and we will take a close, detailed look at your astrological code. My purpose is to help you understand who you are so you can accept, appreciate, and love the divine, unique miracle that is you.